Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to talk about a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. Fanfiction. No. Don't freak out. I'm going to make this work. So you may have noticed from the title of this video, we are going to talk about how to write good fanfiction. Because, believe it or not, there is such a thing. And I think that I write it. I mean, maybe I don't. I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure that I write good fan fiction, and I'm here to help you write good fan fiction as well. Because we're all familiar with the stereotype of fan fiction being bad, and if you want to insult something, you can call it fanficky. And quite frankly, that's a little insulting to me because I know that there is good fan fiction, I write good fan fiction, and I read good fan fiction. And so I thought I would get this video out there to maybe help others who write fanfic, who are interested in taking that next step and elevating their work into the realm of good fan fiction. If you are not interested in writing good fan fiction, you just want to peck away at something, you don't really care if anybody else likes it, it's just for you, that's fine. That is completely okay. But this video might not be the right video for you. If at any time during this video you find yourself going, it's just fan fiction, why does it matter? This probably isn't the right video for you. Because like I said, we're trying to write good fan fiction. And that does matter. So are you interested in maybe winning some fan fiction contests? Or are you tired of being praised for your work simply because it has everyone's favorite characters in it, but for no other reason? Do you want to practice your writing skills in a fanfic environment but still churn out good work? Then this might be the video for you. First, let's talk a little bit about why we write fanfiction. Some of the reasons that I write fanfiction, and I know a lot of other people do too, would be to get certain characters together. That's a big one. You've got two characters that you like, you wish they would make with the romance, but they don't in the book, movie, video game that you are writing a fiction about. Fiction helps you get them together. Awesome. You want to add scenes that you feel were missing from the media that you're writing a fanfic about. I do this a lot. You want to recap a story from a new point of view. That's interesting too. Tell a story from the point of view of a character who is not the main character in the media that you're writing about. To add more adventures to the end of a story that's already finished. That's another fun one. You don't think that the story should end where the author ended it? Keep going.
Come on, Legolas. I know I just got married and became king of everything, but I think we need to go on a few more adventures together. Besides, my wife is an elf, and she is really boring in the sack. Right you are, Aragorn. Let's have some more adventures.
And to combine fandoms. Say you want your Lord of the Rings and your Mass Effect fandoms to mix together. Why not? Alright, so let's charge straight into the heart of what you can do to make your fanfiction good. Let's start at my favorite place, the characters. First of all, voice. Make sure that you read the character or listen to them if it's a video game or a movie before you write them to really make sure you understand their speech pattern and the way that they tend to think about the world. Having the wrong voice for a character can really throw your reader for a loop and draw them out of your fanfiction. You want them to feel like they're almost reading something that the original author or creator might have written, which is one of the unique challenges of fanfiction that I don't think many people think about. Be respectful of the author's characters. Nothing annoys me more than someone placing their own prejudice on a character that the author has written.
Legolas, I hate you more than anything in the world.
What?
But why? Because our writer hates you and has decided to express that by making me hate you for no good reason. Oh.
I notice this a lot, and it really bothers me. A lot of times, fanfic authors will take characters that they didn't like and just make them horrible and unlikable in their fanfictions. But that's not realistic to the story. That's not taking an element of the story and making a character unlikable because of that. That is putting your own prejudice into the story, and it doesn't make any sense. If you have a character that you don't like and you want to be sort of a bad guy in your story, you have to come up with realistic story reasons why the other characters would begin to dislike that character. Or, if it's already a villain, why the characters would begin to like him or her. And if they're going to fall in love, try to keep it natural. Don't make it, oh, suddenly I love you because the author loves you. Make sure you keep your characters in character. Nothing ruins a read for me like reading through the fanfic and then realizing that the author really hates a character that I liked and they treat that character badly because of it. Okay, here we come to some touchy territory. Adding your own original characters. I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying be careful. First thing you want to do is to make sure that your OC is flawed and has a character arc of their own. Just throwing somebody in there without any flaws to be a match for another character or a foil for another character is an interesting reading. Do not, and I repeat, do not put yourself into a story. Maybe they're out there, but I have yet to read a good self-insert fanfic. You may put elements of yourself into an original character in the story, that's fine, but don't just change the color of your hair and throw yourself into the story. Because nobody else knows you out there in the world. Nobody else wants to read about you. Nobody wants to read about PCPatientZero in the Mass Effect world. No, they want to read about a Mass Effect world character, even if I make one up. I'm not interesting enough for that fanfiction world. Another problem that people have when they put themselves into stories is they don't feel the need to adequately describe that character. Because you know yourself. So you don't even think about it. You don't even think about how you're not describing that character well or doing them justice. Because it's you. This is another pet peeve of mine. Please avoid giving your characters strange looks like oddly colored hair. Or I've noticed that a lot of fanfiction authors, the popular color for eyes right now is green. Every single character, every single OC has green eyes right now. Why? It's because you want your character to stand out and be special, but that just makes them more distracting and annoying. Every time I read a character description of an OC and it turns out they had silver hair and green eyes, I am instantly turned off. The only time this is okay is if you're in a world where strangely colored hair and stuff like that is normal, like Naruto. Then you can have blue or pink hair if you want to. But there it's not unusual.
Oh, hey there, fair maiden. Who might you be?
I'm a special flower.
Ah.
Also, name your character appropriately for the world. A lot of times I'll run into it where something is said like in a modern day fiction, and the character will have some ridiculously absurd name, once again, to make them a special flower, and that's just really obnoxious. I'm like, just give them a normal name. Name them Rose or something. Don't need to be weird. Trust me, if your writing is good, your character will stand out, whether or not they have silver hair and a ridiculous name. And lastly, avoid over-describing your OC. You can describe them a little bit. This is something that's part of writing in general. When you're writing a story, watch out for over-describing characters and places. Nobody needs a blow-by-blow description of what your character looks like. Just give a few bullet points, and you can add other descriptions in later when it fits in. Or, if you're looking at things from your OC's point of view, don't describe them at all, unless maybe they look in a mirror or something. Because it's their own point of view. They don't think about, you know, I really need to think about how my hair is silver and my eyes are green right now. And I would suddenly and inexplicably start thinking about what my body type is. Yeah, that doesn't happen. And it's very distracting. Okay, now let's just talk about some general stuff. Remember, when you're writing fan fiction, to use your writing knowledge to help you. All writing is practice, but you can really practice by remembering things like pacing, and rising and falling action. Don't get too excited about the story you want to tell, and forget how to do simple things like having a beginning, a middle, and an end. Remember back to those English classes, people. They actually will help you in the real fanfic world. On that note, avoid the trap of getting to the moment that you want to write about too quickly. Anticipation can really sell your fanfic. If you just launch right in and get straight to the romance that you wanted to write, it's kind of boring. People want to anticipate it for a while. And it can be fun to write that way too. Don't assume when you're writing a fanfic, especially one for a contest, that everybody knows your fandom as well as you do. Make sure that you throw in a few cursory descriptions just to make sure everybody understands. You don't have to explain it up the wazoo, but explain a little bit. Maybe touch on one character trait that a certain character has. Just mention it as he comes into the scene. Something like that. Here's another big one. Try your best to vet out all spelling and grammar errors. I know it's tough, I have a problem with it too, and I'm not saying your fanfic has to be flawless, but please proofread it, at least twice. Maybe even have somebody else proofread it. Because spelling and grammar errors can take people out of your story, and you don't want that. Like I said, it doesn't need to be flawless, but it's definitely going to be a more respected fic if you at least try to eliminate some of that stuff. Here's the big one. Finish your story. I know a lot of people start writing fics and they get bored, and that's why it's so important, I think, to remember what you have learned about writing and beginning, middle, and end. Even if you're just writing a fanfic, because we're here to write good fanfic, you should do what you normally do when you write something that's not fanfiction. So plan your story. However you do it, whatever method you use, whether you write everything down or whether you just plan it in your head, plan your story as you normally would any other work of fiction that you would finish. It's especially important to finish if you know you have people reading your story, because nothing is more disheartening to a reader to be really enjoying a story and then the author got bored and you'll never see them again. Research is also important if you're writing a good fanfiction. If you're not sure about something in the world, don't just make it up. Go to the wiki and find out for sure. It'll really help sell the world that you're helping to create. It will really help you cement the world in your reader's mind, and they'll feel better knowing that you know what you're talking about. And lastly, write a good description for your story. On fanfiction.net and some other fanfiction places, you can write a little description for your story, where people can see what your story is about. So often I see people falling into the trap of just writing, this and this character will get together, these are the characters that are in it, and this is the thing that happens, but they never draw you in. Try to write a description that maybe gets across some of that information, but also draws people in. You want to make it sound like the cover blurb on a book, on a mystery book. Don't tell them too much information about what's going to happen in your story, because you will draw them in with the description of what might happen in your story, and they're excited to find out. I'll also post below links to some fanfiction that I thought was especially good. Some of it's better than others, it kind of depends on what you like. I really enjoy Girls Next Door, which is actually a sort of graphic novel form of fanfiction, and really doesn't use the world so much as the characters, but it's really well written. Pet Project is a Harry Potter fanfiction, and it is extremely good. It is so good that when you're reading it, it feels like you're reading J.K. Rowling. That is how closely the author has captured the style of J.K. Rowling and the characters, so go check that out. Also, if you're into Mass Effect like me, Sense and Flexibility is an interesting read. It has some flaws. It does do that thing that I dislike, where if the author doesn't like a character, she sort of demonizes them, and that does annoy me, because I think every character deserves a fair shake in every story that you write, even if you don't like them. But her writing is good, and she does finish very long stories, so if you want a story that you know is going to have an end, read her stuff. Thank you all for joining me today to talk about this subject, which I obviously care a lot about. Hopefully this has helped some of you figure out how to tighten up your fanfic work, and feel free to check out my fanfiction. I'll link you below as well to that. Peace out. I know you think elves would be wild and crazy, but really it's the opposite.
You forget that she is really old. It's terrible, really.